Welcome back. Let's cross over to our sports studios now, where Kayode Alayonde is standing by with the day's sports news.
Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria has won the CAF Under-23 Africa Cup of Nations title after a 2-1 victory over Algeria. Ogene Karo Etevo gave Nigeria the lead after Victor Osimhen was brought down in the penalty area in the 12th minute. The Algerians got back into the game when Olusegun Oduduwa scored an own goal before Etevo produced a fine run and made it 2-1 in the 40th minute. The second half produced some smart saves from Emmanuel Daniel, including saving a penalty after Oduduwa again fouled an Algerian player. The Dream Team 6 has also qualified for next year's Rio Olympics. And Manchester City midfielder Yaya Toure has confirmed he will return to the Ivorian national team. The newly crowned BBC African Footballer of the Year led the Elephants to Africa Cup of Nations success in February and then announced that he was considering retiring from international football. After 10 months away from the national side, the 32-year-old is making a U-turn. His return will be a big boost for Ivory Coast ahead of their next competitive match scheduled for March 2016. They will face Sudan in a Group 1 match in the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Meanwhile, Manchester United suffered their second successive defeat in 4 days after they lost to Bournemouth 2-1 in the English Premier League. Junior Stanislav gave the home side the lead before Maroon Fellaini levelled for United, but after the break, Joshua King sealed the win for the home side. In other matches decided today, Kelechi Iheanacho's injury time deflection helped Manchester City return to the top of the table with a 2-1 victory over Swansea. Another Nigerian player was also on the score sheet as Odion Ighalo's 4th-minute goal was enough for Watford to secure all 3 points at Stoke. Yohan Cabaye's goal gave Crystal Palace a 1-0 victory over Southampton. West Ham and Stoke City played goalless, while Norwich City and Everton played a 1-1. To other competitions, England and Wales have been drawn in the same group of Euro 2016 Championship, joining England in Group B as Slovakia and Russia. Northern Ireland are drawn with Germany, Ukraine and Portland in Group C. Republic of Ireland got a tougher draw as they will have to face Belgium, Italy and Sweden in Group E. Host nation France will battle Romania, Albania and Switzerland in Group A. Spain, Turkey, Czech Republic, Croatia are in Group D, while Portugal, Iceland, Hungary and Austria will slug it out in Group F. The championship will start on June the 10th next year. In tennis, Rafael Nadal beat Roger Federer 6-5 to give the Indian Aces a 30-19 win over the UAE Royals on the final day of the India leg of the International Premier Tennis League in New Delhi. Nadal broke Federer in the first game and held serve for a 2-0 lead. The Swiss broke back to level at 2-2, but Nadal broke again in the next game. Federer fought back and the set went to a deciding shootout, but Nadal sealed the victory when Federer hit his forehand long. The Aces, who maintained their lead at the top of the championship standings, won all 5 of their matches. And that's it on Sports News this hour. The rest of the news continues in just a moment with Harriet.
Thanks, Kayode. The world today agreed to limit greenhouse gas emissions and temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. 195 countries which met in the north of Paris unanimously adopted the Paris Agreement after 2 weeks of negotiations and 20 years' effort to prevent global warming. to meet the temperature targets. The agreement says countries should aim to reach a global peaking of greenhouse gas emissions as soon as possible. Our correspondent Ayola Kazim has more in this report.
L'action est positive, je n'entends pas d'objection. L'accord de Paris pour le climat est accepté.
The moment global envoys adopted the legally binding agreements that will save the world from dangerous increase in temperature and protect vulnerable people from the impact of climate change. The world is experiencing a climate crisis. 2015 is the warmest year since records began. And for 4 years, the world has been trying to end the disagreement between the rich and the poor countries. But within minutes, the French foreign minister declared the Universal Pact to the delight of delegates.
C'est un petit marteau, mais je pense qu'il peut faire de grandes choses.
Described as the first truly global climate deal, the agreement creates a system that encourages nations to step up voluntary domestic efforts to curb emissions and take climate action on the basis of equity and in the context of sustainable development and efforts to eradicate poverty. The agreement in Paris is seen as a deal that ushers in a new era.
Everyone, businesses, stock exchanges, the palaces that have been benefiting from fossil fuel actually ride the climate wave from Paris. I know it's easy for me to say that they will be washed away, but what is even more powerful through the collective commitment that countries have made through this announcement is that the global economy must be transformed, and a civil society will be out there to push and make that happen.
Despite being widely welcomed as a historic deal, campaigners were disappointed it did not go any further. They argued that poorer countries who had little to do with global warming but are among those most affected by it should be getting more help.
Escalating costs of climate change that are going to continue to hit at the moment the poorest and the most vulnerable, but in the years and the decades ahead, those costs are going to be borne by all of us, including by the developed world. At the moment, adaptation, resilience, that's seen as an issue for the most vulnerable. It's a give in these negotiations from the rich countries. They don't come here wanting to negotiate about that. We think that that is going to change in the next years, and you're going to see adaptation take a more important position in these talks. It's just a tragedy that at the moment it's not seen that way by the most powerful.
But it is a unanimous decision that the agreement adopts the principle of differentiation. Today the world celebrates, but the work comes tomorrow. Well, it was delayed, but Paris has delivered and history has been made. But the real task now is to ensure that the deal that has been done here transforms the world into a cleaner and safer place for man without leaving anyone behind. From the venue of the 2015 Climate Conference in Paris-Le-Bourget, I'm Ayola Kazim reporting for Channels Television News.
Well, after launching a deadly assault on a foreign guest house near the Spanish embassy in Kabul, Afghan officials say all 4 gunmen involved in the attack have been killed. 4 policemen were also killed in the attack. The Spanish government earlier confirmed that one of its police officers was killed in the assault that began late on Friday. The Taliban said its fighters had detonated a car bomb in the Sherpur Air district before entering the area. Initial reports suggested that the Spanish embassy was under attack, but Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy denied this. History was made in Saudi Arabia today as women, for the first time, were allowed to vote in municipal elections. Women are also standing as candidates, another first, despite the conservative kingdom being the only nation where women are not allowed to drive. And the main news again. At least 3 people have been killed following a clash between members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria and soldiers in Zaria, Kaduna Northeast. President Muhammadu Buhari has canvassed the teaching of entrepreneurship in the nation's tertiary institutions as a panacea to the growing unemployment in the country. Governor Tanko Al-Makura has flagged off the construction of a 17 billion naira international cargo airport in the state's capital, Lafia. And countries attending the climate change summit in Paris have agreed to limit the rise in global temperatures to less than 2 degrees by 2050 after 2 weeks of negotiations. And that's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Harriet Agbini. Have a great night and a wonderful weekend.